Hey, what is up guys, and welcome back once again to another Minecraft tutorial. Things are going to be a little bit different. We're going to be trying to make a town step by step, almost sort of let's building a town, but each build is going to be in a tutorial fashion, so hopefully they should be able to build just by watching the video, and by the end you should have a nice town as well, so kind of the best of both worlds. But as you can see right here, we've got a lot of stuff mapped out. Our first build is obviously going to be this Woodcutters House. If you want, it can just be a normal house. Doesn't have to be anything specific, but it's a decent size, so at least give yourself a little bit of space. And by the way, for those of you who have been around for a while, I know I've been stuck in update 1.7 for the longest time, just because I've always wanted to use the conquest blocks, but I've finally moved on to 1.9, so we've got a lot of new stuff. Things are definitely looking better. We even have access to the Conquest mod, which gives us all the cool blocks, just in our own little separate category, so no need to use World Edit anymore. The thing is, I know a lot of you who don't use the Conquest texture pack or can't use the blocks. I'm sure it can get rather frustrating trying to figure out some nice replacement blocks for some of the stuff I use, or even just trying to figure out what some things are. So for the most part, I'm going to try and use blocks that can easily be replicated, just because most people usually know a good replacement on their own or just have something they'd like to use personally. And that's the thing here, this series really is all about making these builds your own, so if you don't like the look of a certain material I'm using, by all means feel free to change it up. And since this does happen to be a new series and we're going to be trying to build this town together, or at least some of you may be trying to do that, you may want to be in the same area. Not sure if that helps, but some people may want to do so, so I'll have the link to the map down in the description. And as for the coordinates, the X is going to be 400, and then the Z should be about 600. And that should get you in this general area. Obviously, I don't think the Y matters too much. Just make sure you're not underground. But yeah, with all that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Alright guys, so to begin, go ahead and take out your spruce wood logs. And we'll start all the way over here on the left-hand side, placing down one block right there. And by the way, the front door is going to be here, so with that in mind, just make sure you have the building facing whichever direction you'd like it to face. But our next block is going to be placed it down right there, then we'll skip one and do that same pattern, just kind of facing the opposite direction. And then this will bring us to the corner, in which we'll skip one block and then do two in sort of a diagonal direction right there. And by the way, the right hand side of the building is going to be the exact same as the front. So pretty much just copy down that same pattern, and that's going to bring us to the back, and that will be 2 blocks with a gap of 3 in between, as you can see there. And then on the left hand side, it's going to be 3 blocks in total, with 2 block gaps in between each of those. Now, just to make sure you guys got that down correctly, I'm going to give you a quick overhead view, just so you can see the foundation, since, at least in my opinion, this is sort of the most important part, seeing as if you kind of screw this up, the rest of the build may not turn out how you want it to look in the end. But now that we've got this down, if you want to, you could start filling in your first layer of the wall material. By the way, this is only going to be 1 block tall, and then for the next 2 layers, we'll be using our bricks here. And once you have all of those little spaces filled in, what you'll want to do now is raise each of these pillars up so they're 4 blocks tall in total. And next, before we go ahead and fill in the rest of our walls, one last thing you guys will want to do is connect each of these pillars with a crossbeam, and you'll see on corners like these there's really no need for them. And now that that's done, it should be looking something very similar to what you see right here. And with that said, we can now start to fill in our wall material. I'm going to be using the bricks, but I really want you guys to have as much freedom as you'd like in this series, so feel free to use whatever material you think looks best. But if I had to choose something else, I'd probably go with a cobblestone for the first floor. Then one last thing to keep in mind, instead of placing your bricks right above the door, go ahead and do 1 upside down spruce wood stair right there. And then before we start building up our second floor, you can go ahead and fill this in with some oak wood half slabs, just like this. And moving on, the last thing we'll need to do here is place some sticky outy bits on the tops of each of the pillars. And just like before, once that's done, it should be looking very similar to this, and what we've done by placing those things in is given ourselves a bit of a foundation for the second floor. So that being said, start placing in your pillars, which will be 4 blocks tall on top of the sticky-outy bits instead of the actual pillars themselves. And one thing to remember is just don't place them on the corners on the second floor. And now you should have all those pillars, so they're 4 blocks tall. Like I said, the corners here are going to be open, but that'll leave us room to place a pillar just 1 block back. And make sure you add one of these on each of the 4 sides. Once that's done, you should have a pillar in every location you need to be able to connect them all. So that should look a little something like this. Really quick before we continue on with the second floor, one little thing I like to do is take out some spruce wood stairs and just place them underneath each of the sticky-outy bits. And usually I'll leave these things off the corners, but in cases like this, where it would actually be supporting a pillar, like the one up there, I'll tend to add one in. And also, with supporting things in mind, you are going to need your spruce wood half slabs as well, considering our walls are going to go in these slots, and we really just don't want them floating in the air. So what you'll do is place a spruce wood half slab on each of these gaps here. By the way, on cases like these where you have a gap of 2 or even 3, I like to mix it up a bit, so we'll say for here we'll do a spruce wood upside down stair on either side, and then 2 half slabs in the middle, and then for the back, we'll try something like 2 stairs and 1 half slab right there. And then in terms of filling in the second floor walls, I would just say use maybe white wool or try to mix white wool and gray wool. Also, I know if you're using the Conquest texture pack, hang on, let me find it really quick. The stained clay, either white or gray, tends to look good. So just fill those in on the wall. Honestly, choose whatever you think looks best. You could even use wood if you wanted to. But if you do happen to have the Conquest mod, I would suggest using little patterns like these, just to give the build a little more detail. Now really quick, I'm going to give you guys an option. It really doesn't matter too much in the long run. It just kind of determines how much space you'll have on the inside and the amount of detail you'll have on the outside. So if you want space on the indoors, you're going to want to add the walls in right here above the spruce wood supports. But if you're looking for a bit more detail on the exterior and just a decent amount of space indoors, what you'll want to do is fill in your walls just 1 block back. And one last detail for now in terms of filling in the walls is going to be our windows. Honestly, I'd say place these things wherever you want them to be. I think I've mentioned before, it really always depends on your location. I mean, if it's looking at just a cliff right next to the building, you probably don't need a window there. But if you have something like this where it's some nice scenery, that's a place where you might want to put some in. And really quick, I'll just speed through so you guys can see where I add all of mine in. So really quick, for those of you who chose to push your walls 1 block back like I did, just so there's not a gap above the windows, make sure you do 1 layer of the spruce wood planks, like this above them. And one more thing would be adding some detail on the outside as well. Maybe something like adding in some stairs on the corners, and you could even do this on the back side as well. And then for the spaces above here, you could either add some plants, or what I like to do is grab some fences. These can really be whatever kind of fence you want. I'm just going to use the oak ones for now, since they do have a nice bit of color contrast with the rest of our build. But you'll see by the end of it, it should look quite nice. Next up, since all of our walls should be complete by now, what we're going to do is start to sort of shape our roofs. And I guess we'll begin with these smaller ones. Now, for this one here, that's right above the door, and also the other one on the right side, we're actually going to raise these up 1 more block, and then we'll add that last one there in the middle. So like I said, same thing will be done right here. And by the way, this red wool right here is just going to be a temporary support for one of our larger roofs, so just feel free to ignore this for now. But as for the other couple smaller ones, what you'll do is just place 1 block right in the middle. Moving on to the one on the very back, which is going to be our second to largest one. What we're going to do here is going to be a little bit different. So we'll raise these up 2 each, and then 1 there in the middle. And then for our biggest one, which is going to begin on the left-hand side and end over here, right above the red wool, we're going to make this 2 blocks up on either side. Then we'll do that same thing again, and finish it with 1 block there in the middle. And like I said, the same thing will be done right over here above the red wool. In fact, we could even take this block out since we won't need it. And if you want to, there's a sort of unnecessary step, but I usually like to do it just since it makes things a little bit easier later on. And that's just going to be connecting each one of the roofs together. And sometimes the smaller ones will kind of intervene with the larger ones. Say in a case like this, you could just drag a straight line all the way across from there, and then also connect this one over. And that should just help you connect them a bit later on. What we'll do now is start adding our actual roofing material, or more so the outline of it. And that's going to be done with our spruce wood blocks. Now, one thing to keep in mind, and it's just going to be done on 2 locations, is you'll want to add a spruce wood full block here, and also one over on the right side, and that's going to be on this spot. And after that, you'll take a spruce wood stair, place it upside down right there, and then upright on the other side. And why we're doing this is just because these 2 roofs sort of begin at different points, since we decided to raise this one up just a bit more. And it's going to be the same thing on the other side, like I mentioned. So upright stair there, and upside down one on that location. And for now, that should be all you need to do. But anyways, back to the larger roof. We're going to start for real now. So we'll add a spruce wood stair here, just to extend it a bit, since we like our roofs to have a bit of an overhang. And after that's in, you can switch it up and add in a spruce wood full block. And you may also want to add it 1 block up as well. And above each of those, you'll place in a stair, and also 1 last stair on the very top there. By the way, the other side is going to go down in the exact same pattern, so the only thing left to do is add in some upside down stairs, and then you should be good. So as you can see, this section is pretty much finished up. There's only one thing left we need to do, and that's going to be the same for each of our little triangle sections. It'll start off with an upside down stair here on the top. And actually, if you want to see a bit of the spruce wood log here still, you could even try a half slab, then do a full block above that, stair on the front face of it, and then another half slab just to finish that off. And you could even add 1 last half slab on the other side, just to give it a nicer slope. I will admit, even though this side over here is pretty much the same shape and size as the one we just did, it really is quite a bit more tricky considering there are quite a few other roofs sort of poking into it. So for this one, we'll start off by placing a spruce wood stair there, and also drag it out 1 more block. And just like we did for the other end, we'll do a full block above that, and then 2 more stairs to finish that side off. And lastly, we'll do another full block below this one, and then we'll add in our upside down stairs. And since this roof is kind of poking in here, you may want to add a full block instead, just to make it look a little bit nicer. That way you won't have any extra gaps. But as for this section up top, a stair should do just fine. And then, as I showed you guys off to this side, you will need to replicate the roof design that we did. And I just tried going down the other side. I'd say it's pretty self-explanatory, just about the same as what we did over here and even on the back side. Only thing I'd watch out for is this section. You might want to try placing a full block in there instead of a stair. Since we're on the big roof, I figure we might as well just finish this off for now. So what I would do is place a full block right there in the middle, maybe a stair facing out on either side, and then a half slab on the other ends of those. And if you want to, I guess if you have the Conquest mod, you could try something cool. Maybe a little decoration for the very top. Pretty sure they have those little chicken things that spin around and either show the wind or direction. So we'll add one of these right up top. Moving on, I'm thinking since we just did sort of a trickier section, we'll do something easy really quick. So we're on the back side right now. And what you'll do starting off on the right hand side of the build is take out your spruce wood stair, place one there, and then another one to make it an overhang. And above this, we'll add in a full block, and then 2 more stairs. And now we'll go down the other side. So once again, 2 more stairs going down, full block below that last one, and then we can even start here on the corner and just go 1, 2, 3. And like always, just make sure you fill in your upside down stairs. And also add in that design on the very top. By the way, if you want to connect these 2 areas really quick, you can. All you'll need to do is place a stair facing that way, then a half slab, one more stair going the opposite direction. Next up, we'll add in a full block and another spruce wood stair to finish that off. Now, really quick, before we go over to the front, just make sure you add in one more stair right there. And now moving on. By the way, I think I mentioned this earlier, but the front side is pretty much the exact same as the right side, at least in terms of these two roofs. So I'm going to try and show you this only one time, although if there's any tricky parts, I'll make sure and see what I can do to help. But as for here, we're going to do one more upside down stair on the other side of the main roof section, and then we'll do a spruce wood stair there, and then one more coming out like that. And if you want to, you could even go as far as to remove that. And that should be good for now. All you'll need to do is place an upside down stair on the side of that spruce wood log, and also do the same thing on the other end. Then just place in two more, and that should be good. All you'll need to do is place a last one right there, and things are looking pretty good. I guess if you're really feeling like it, this could even give your roof a bit more curve, but I guess you could place one there. Not too sure how well that looks though. So that's pretty much that. I also, as you can see, made sure to place in that design up top. But now to sort of get these to work out, what you'll have to do is place in another spruce wood full block on that section. Like I've tried to make clear, the same thing should go for over here as well when you decide to tackle that. And then I guess we'll just get this over with right now. We'll try and add in our shape just to make sure it'll fit. Looks like it does. And I believe that should be good. So we'll continue on to the other side. And they should work out perfectly. All we'll need to do is just make sure we add that upside down stair below. I just finished up the right side, and from what I could tell, it was really the exact same as the front. So hopefully it went as smoothly for you guys as it did for me. But even with all that complete, I'm sure you're still wondering how you connect each of these to the roofs that we've already got made. So for this small one on the front, I'd say just add in a half slab there. For the bigger one, do something similar to what we did on the back, which would be a stair, half slab, then a full block with a stair on top of it, and one more stair to finish that off. And then moving on to the right side, I'd say, once again, couple half slabs, and for here, you could even carry that all the way through, and I'd say that would be just fine. So now that we have all the outlines in, as you can see, it really is starting to take shape. Thing is, it's a very empty and open shape. So for the roof design, or roof material I should say, I'm going to be using the gray stained clay with a mix of the gray stained clay stairs offered by the Conquest mod. If you don't have this, the next best thing would probably be, I'd have to say oak wood, because that way you can use the stairs as well, and it's not really going to look too similar to the outline we have here. Or if you wanted to, you could even just use all stained clay full blocks. It really doesn't look too bad. But what I'm going to do is go ahead and time-lapse most of this, although I'm going to show you the pattern really quick. So for the big roof, it's going to be a full block on the two bottom spaces there, and then a stair above each of those. Really, it's kind of the same as the outlines we did. All you need to do is just kind of carry them over, as you'll see here. And that would be pretty much it for the front side of the big roof. But for filling in this section here, I'd say a full block in the corner. If you can, use two stairs here. And then for this, I'd have to say one stair on that spot and then a full block right there. And that should do just fine. And really quick, we'll go ahead and fill in this area too. So we'll do a full block there and then two stairs on top to finish that off. Oh, and you may even want to try connecting that over. And remember, the same thing would go for the right-hand side too. These next couple parts are going to go by really quick, but I'd say they are a bit tricky. So I'll just fill those in with you guys without any time lapse. Obviously, that's going to be one block. For right here, that'll be two stairs. And you'll see we have a big open section right here, which is sort of a problem. What I'm going to do is take out my spruce wood logs, and starting from, I'd say right here should be good. We'll just drag a cross beam all the way along, Take out our wall material. In this case, it'll be the white wool. And then just fill that whole thing in. Then that'll bring us back to here, which I'd say to use 2 full blocks in, and then a row of 3 stairs on the left-hand side. And that should be good for right there. If you wanted to, I guess you could add 1 more stair on the back side, just to give it a little more shape, although you don't really have to. And moving on to the back of the build, once again, pretty simple. 1 block there, and then for this section, if you're using the same sort of pattern I'm doing, it'll just be rows of the full blocks down on the bottom layers. I guess if you wanted to, you could use stairs here, and also right above this. And then obviously from here on out, the rest of it is going to be stairs. And then same thing goes over here, it's just kind of a bigger area. I did fly around really quick to make sure everything was in place, and I'll do so once more just to make sure you guys get a good look, so you can see everything matches up. Now obviously it's not complete even though we have our roof done. You'll see over here on the left hand side we have 1 more big open section. For this I'd probably say add in 1 more block of the spruce wood logs. Maybe do something like that if you wanted to. I guess you could even hang something from here. But what I'd say is take out your wall material one last time and just fill this section in. If you wanted, you could even add a window in here too. Maybe something right there, or even like that. So with the window in it, it should look something similar to this. Also, I did change up the fences, so they're the spruce wood ones, and I found that if you do something like that, it can end up looking quite cool in the end. So if that is something that fancies you, you may want to try it. And then lastly, in terms of filling in the walls, there should be 2 more spots. And I'd say just do something like this inside of them. Really nothing too crazy. And for those of you wondering where the chimney should go, since this is a rather big house, I'd say it should have one. Although, more often than not, I'll go ahead and wait till I do the interior to place those things in. So if you're looking for a spot, I'd say if you can, just hold off till then. But maybe this side would be a good area since it is so big and there's so much extra room. Although since this is a woodcutter's house, at least I'd like it to be, I kind of want to add a little storage shed right here. So maybe if you have to right now, you could put the chimney back here. But like I said, if you can, try and hold off. So if you want this to just be a house, you could hold off on this next step. But like I said, I'd like to have some kind of a little storage shed type thing for all of the extra wood. So what I'm going to do is take out these spruce wood walls. And if you don't have access to the Conquest mod, I'd say either use fences, or honestly, the cobblestone walls would look just as good. But for this, you're going to find each of these sections and go 3 blocks back. And then you can remove those first 2. But these are going to be the starts of each of your pillars, and you'll raise these up 2 more blocks, so they're 3 in total. And then just do a row of these spruce wood half slabs across the bottom there. And then you can do 2 more on either side, and even 1 in the middle, if you'd like a little bit of extra detail. And from there you can do 1 more half slab on each of those, and then a stair above them. And if you want, you could leave it like this, although I'd probably suggest removing each of those fences, maybe adding in a full block there with a half slab above it. I think that looks quite good. Next up, take out your roofing material. By the way, if you don't have access to the clay stairs, I'd say just use oak wood, but you'll place 2 facing straight up here, then go underneath and place in 2 upside down ones. And that adds a nice slope to it. As you can see, I've just decided to fill this in really quickly with some various woods. Obviously, I've got access to these cool ones here, but I'd say these bigger logs look just as good. So this is going to be the point where I go ahead and stop building, although this series is all about making this whole thing yours and your own, trying to learn some new stuff. I know a lot of people like to add buttons on the ends of these logs, so if that's your thing, go ahead and do it. You could even take some trap doors and maybe add some shutters in. You can do some simple stuff. I know just doing something like that could be cool, or even adding 2 of them off to the side like that. It's kind of a neat little thing. But anyways, guys, like I said, that's pretty much it for today. If you want to get a head start on the interior, feel free to do so, or if you want to wait for me, by all means, that's alright as well. I'm already thinking of a lot of stuff I want to add, like a log out front with an accident or something. By the end of this town, I would like it to be maybe a bit more woodsy. So honestly, quite a few more trees. That being said, it would be quite cool to have some vines or moss draping down from the roof. But stuff like that, along with the whole inside of the building, will be shown off on the interior show around. So if you want, stay tuned for that. If not, feel free to take off. Hopefully you enjoyed the tutorial nonetheless. I know it has been quite a while since our last one. With that being the case, I really do hope this was easy enough to follow for you guys. Please let me know what you thought, or if you have any ideas for future builds in the town, I'd love to hear those as well. You know, this whole thing is really about making our own town here and just kind of going step by step. I want to try and build a pretty reasonable town and have whatever we add in next to be a sensible option that would actually make sense in terms of starting up a new town. But yeah, guys, once again, thanks for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy the video. Please feel free to let me know what you guys thought in the comments, whether it be good or bad. And as always, I will see you in the next one.